The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
Renegade, never been afraid to say what's on my mind at any given time of day, cause I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to talk about anything. Renegade. Never been afraid to say what's on my mind at any given time of day, cause I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to holler about anything.
Welcome into the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And, we had a interesting few days for Cubs fans, and Ryan Risky was at the game last night, which was an offensive explosion by the Tigers, and that was obviously a very strange game to be at, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. It felt like, there was the first pitch, and then all of a sudden it was 7-0 Detroit.
Yeah, it seemed like every time I turned away from the TV and came back, the score kept getting higher. I did see Nick Castellano's grand slam live, which was very unfortunate. But the most surprising thing was the pitcher in his first at-bat hitting a home run, I guess.
And then leaving with an injury.
Yeah, and then he left with an injury. The Cubs kept going back. I mean, the offense is not the issue these last two games. I mean, the game against the Sox, the offense was the issue because of Chris Sale. But, against the Tigers have a horrible staff, as we know, and they have a horrible bullpen. The problem is the Cubs don't have a very good bullpen either.
No, they've got some good guys. This was not one of their most finest moments.
No, I think Justin Grimm is probably our best bullpen pitcher this year all around.
He's the only guy that's been good like the whole year. All the other guys have had, some streaks of being good and bad, and it was a good thing they didn't waste him yesterday. I mean, I'd take it back. He's probably the second best relief pitcher. The best is probably David Ross. He's got a 0 ERA.
He does, and so does Denorfia now. He got that ground ball to the second baseman, which I think was Herrera, was playing at second base at that point. He also came in and got a 0 ERA. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was really weird. Like, the Cubs would come back, get a run or two, and then whoever pitched the next inning would give those runs right back.
Mm-hmm. I'm almost thinking the experiment with James Russell is probably over. At least it should be. He hasn't been good all year. Jason Mott, he pretty much has to stay with the team because he signed, a bigger contract, obviously, and he's been.
He's had good moments.
Yeah, he's been okay.
Like, in games that they're winning, he usually pitches well, except in games like this, like that, he usually gets killed.
Yeah, and James Russell was not good yet again, although they left him in a little long, but that's just because you don't want to destroy your bullpen on a game that you're already down by, 6 runs in.
Yeah,
and it was just interesting. John Lester had a bad outing after he had 7 or 8 good ones in a row. He just was so bad yesterday, and hopefully that's the last time we see that, because as you get closer to the end of the season, you don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's as concerning as some Cubs fans are making it.
Right. I agree. I don't think it's a huge issue. I think it's more if Kyle Hendricks continues to struggle, or if Dan Herron can not keep. He hasn't been very good either. So
yeah, it's expected from him.
Yeah, I think that's more concerning.
With Lester, he had like 9 or 10 good games in a row. I know before one night's game, he had allowed 1 home run in his previous 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
And out of every team he's faced more than one time in his career, his worst ERA is against Detroit. So I don't think it's as concerning as some people are making it. I mean, it was due for something like that to happen, and I guess against Detroit, you'll take that, especially when he hasn't pitched very well against them at all.
Right, and it's also interesting, Detroit has the best team batting average in the MLB, yet they're 4 or 5 games under 500.
Yeah, that's how it is.
I don't understand how that can be either. I mean, their pitching must just be really bad. when you look at it, starting five, I mean, they just have been horrible this year. Anibal Sanchez has been really bad. He had another bad outing against the Cubs a few days ago, and I mean, nobody's really been very good for them.
No, they have their pitching staff is bad. Their offense is very good though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their offense is good, and now they have Miguel Cabrera back. I mean, it's not going to mean anything. I don't think Detroit's going anywhere.
Not with that pitching staff.
No, not with the staff. And they were sellers at the trade deadline. They got rid of David Price. They got rid of Yoenis Cespedes. I mean, those are two big pieces that they thought would carry them, to a championship, and it never did.
Yep. And interesting enough, as badly as the Cubs played yesterday, I got an email this morning from the Cubs announcing the sale of playoff tickets.
I saw that online that the Cubs were contacting season ticket holders today.
Yep, I got that email.
Yeah, so that's obviously something to think about.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, maybe you should have tried to wait after a win to announce that. I mean, especially after a game like yesterday.
It's kind of a downtime. It'd be like if they were announcing them, after they got swept by the Phillies, which would have been very sad too. I mean, this is also kind of sad.
They get no hit, get an email the next day. Hey, playoff tickets are going on sale.
Exactly. Today they look to turn the page though, which I think they will with Jake Arrieta on the mound, who's by far been the best pitcher on the Cubs this season. 14-6, 2.39 ERA. His ERA just keeps going down every time out, which is very exciting to see. And he's facing Atlanta, which I saw something on. I think Nick Shepkowski tweeted it out. The Braves are only like 21-44 on the road or something, so we should be able to take 3 out of 4 against the Braves. If you can do that, then you're back in shape. I think you get back to 500 on the homestand, which would be exciting.
Yeah, it would be. This is an important homestand, and I think Arrieta's going to get it off to the right start tonight.
Yeah, because after this, they go out to California. They play the Giants and the Dodgers, and it doesn't get much tougher than that. So you definitely want to win your home games, and then compete hard against the Dodgers and Giants. I think there's one nationally televised game against the Giants and one nationally televised game against the Dodgers. I think they're on Sunday Night Baseball. The Cubs are next Sunday, so that'll be exciting. And obviously, it'll be important for the Cubs to win all those games if they can. But yeah, today Arrieta against Fultonowicz. I think that's how you say his name. I think he's pitching for the
Fultonowicz.
Yeah, he's pitching for Atlanta today. So I think the Cubs will be okay. Tomorrow is Hendricks versus Shelby Miller, so that'll be a tough one.
Yeah, that really is going to be a tough one. That's the kind of game where you wish Dan Herron was probably pitching instead of Saturday, which is the game I'm going to.
Yeah,
he's John Lester bobblehead.
He's pitching against Perez.
Yeah, Williams Perez. I mean, granted that pitching staff in Atlanta really isn't that good outside of Shelby Miller. I mean, Julio Teheran has just been awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has, and he was one of those young guys that a lot of people thought would be, a perennial all-star for them, and he was pretty good a couple years ago. But
he was good last year, 2 years ago.
Not so much now.
Yeah, so much that they actually offered him to the Cubs for Jorge Soler, which the Cubs smartly declined.
Yeah, they did smartly decline that. I guess Julio Teheran and Jorge Soler both have down years. So Soler was injured for such a long time.
At least the difference with Soler is it's not like Teheran where he was really good the past 2 years and now he's really bad. Whereas Soler, this is still his rookie season.
Mm-hmm. It looks like the Cubs lineup for tonight has not been set yet, according to their website. Atlanta's has been set, and A.J. Brzezinski, there he is, batting fourth. He always does good at Wrigley Field.
Fourth. I hope Arrieta strikes him out 4 times.
That would be nice, because he seems to do well at Wrigley Field every time. I think he's hit 8 home runs at Wrigley Field in his career, something like that, which is just crazy. I think they were all when he was with the White Sox.
Yeah, I don't think he hit one last year with St. Louis.
I don't think so. And
he could have hit one with the Giants, though, in 2004.
It's possible. It's possible. I forgot he was there. That's right. He was with San Francisco. So the Braves, and then also that makeup game before they head on to San Francisco. They have the makeup game against the Indians. It would be nice to win that game as well, obviously. Because I think they lost the other game at Wrigley Field against Cleveland.
Yeah, I think they lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So they
Or was
won
it
that one game 17-0.
Yeah, and that was in Cleveland. I think it was just a 2-2, right? 2 in Cleveland, 2 at
Wrigley.
Yeah,
just
2
like
in
with
Wrigley.
Detroit.
Right, and the one game at Wrigley Field, of course, was rained out.
Ironically,
so
on the
Monday.
day the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup.
That's right. That was the day they clinched, and there's also a couple makeup dates. I think there's one more against Kansas City.
Yep, that's the last week of the season. I
Yeah.
actually had tickets. I have tickets to that game.
Right, because you were going to go to that game, right? And then you turned around and went back home when they
found out it got rained out, and then I was like, well, I can just go home and watch Game 7.
Yeah, I think that's a good trade-off. It's talking about the White Sox now. They're in a heap of trouble. They're about to get swept by the Angels after they swept them at the Cell, which was surprising. But yeah, they're sliding back down again, and that's not good for them. But I also heard Kenny Williams. It's possible he after the season he will probably no longer be with the team. There's people saying, I think it was Bob Nightingale was on a radio station earlier today. He said Kenny Williams could could go to Seattle, or he could go to Toronto. I think there was another team in there too, but there's a couple teams that Kenny Williams might have his eye on for going to next season.
Oh yeah, Seattle. Yeah, I have a feeling that they're going to fire their GM.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Zarudiak really has not done a good job.
Yeah, and Toronto, I guess he could be their president of something. Who knows? But I mean, Toronto's got a good ball club. I don't know if you want Kenny Williams there.
Yeah, I don't see. I think if they, I don't think Toronto will have any sort of front office shakeup or any new hirings if they make the playoffs. If they don't, then Alex Anthopoulos might get fired.
Yeah, that's possible. The pitching matchup tonight for the White Sox, it's Quintana against Tropano, who is 1-1 with a 3.0 ERA.
Oh yeah, the White Sox also benched Adam LaRoche finally.
They did, and I guess Adam LaRoche said I would have
myself 2 months
I would have
ago.
benched myself 2 months ago, and he said Robin Ventura had more patience.
And I'm sure Adam LaRoche doesn't really care since he's making $12.5 million this year and another $12.5 million next season.
Yeah, it's just it's the second coming of Adam Dunn. It's just really embarrassing.
I remember I thought that was going to be a bad sign. I thought that was a bad signing, and people didn't believe, or my friends that are White Sox
I
fans
thought it
didn't
would be
believe
okay just because I liked him on the Nationals a lot, and he was having a really good year. But, of course, we saw that with Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn was having good years, too, with Washington
Nationals.
and Cincinnati earlier, and then he goes to the White Sox. And
Yeah, they probably should stop signing, free agent first baseman from the Nationals and have him be the DH.
Yeah, that's not working. It seems like every signing that the Sox made this offseason
Every
never
acquisition was
panned out.
pretty bad for them.
Yeah, I mean, Samardzija has been horrible, which, no, I don't think anyone expected him to be this bad.
No.
Probably shouldn't have signed him pretending to be a number one when he's really a number 3 or 4.
He's been so bad that he might not even, the White Sox might not be able to risk sending him a qualifying offer because he might actually accept it.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing. He's not going to get the money that he was asking for last season when the Cubs gave him, the highest offer that they could, and then he backed out of that. He thought he could get more money. Now he wouldn't have even gotten that Cubs qualifying offer, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. I mean, the only acquisition really the Sox had in the offseason that's been that's been good or has, put up decent numbers is David Robertson.
Right, and that should be the last thing that you're looking at as a closer.
Well, and except the problem with that signing is they're so bad he doesn't have games to close, so you're paying the guy $12 million to really do nothing.
And when he does have games to close, he doesn't pitch enough, and he always seems to give up a couple runs. He gave up the home run to Soler on Sunday, and the Cubs almost came back on him in a mini rally, but they didn't. But David Robertson... Yeah, he's been pretty good. He doesn't pitch enough, though, and I think and because of that, he's not as effective.
Yeah. I mean I remember. I think it was the last or 2 off seasons ago when they traded Addison Reed. Rick Hahn said that when you're a team that the closer is one of the last things that you fill, and we feel that we didn't really need a closer on a team that isn't ready to be competitive. Then, like a week later, he said they're gonna. He said that he thinks that they're gonna win the World Series.